Good morning, world. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, today will be another very interesting video. I hope you guys are enjoying this series while you still can. Because once I'm king, guys, I'm taking off the throne. And you're not going to be saved. You're going to be left behind. As I don't play around with death. I don't play around with this mess of my life. You made me pay. You're also going to pay when I'm king. I'm going to keep saying that. As you can't have your full cake. You made me pay. The world also pays too. When Ivan's king, when his wife with him, the world's left behind and not saved. And they're not a part of his glory. So I just finished watching Desolation of Smaug like 45 minutes ago, and yeah, I enjoyed the movie a lot. Is it better than Unexpected Journey? I think they're both kind of close. I like Desolation of Smaug a little bit better, just because Desolation of Smaug, you meet all the characters and you get more. You get to explore Mother Earth more. Obviously, Lake Town. You know what I'm saying? The Woodland Realm, where the elves live. You meet Legolas. You meet Toriel. You meet Azog's son. You meet Smaug. I like it a little bit better than. But it's close though. Unexpected Journey is very, very close. But Unexpected Journey is just pretty much the dwarves running from the orcs, right? Like they run from Azog and his orcs, obviously, and they meet the elves in Rivendell, obviously, and they continue their journey, obviously, and they go into the mines, the goblin mines, obviously, and then they capture them, and then Gandalf saves them, and he's like, "Fight for your lives, fight!" You know what I'm saying? They escape. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much just their journey. That's why I like Desolation Smog a little bit better. Obviously, I like it a little bit better. Obviously, but Unexpected Journey looked the most natural of the three movies. Whereas the moment you get to Desolation Smog, you can tell that's when they start to add in all the crazy CGI in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Well, Unexpected Journey looked a lot more. They use more of the New Zealand wilderness for Unexpected Journey, because they're on a journey, obviously. Whereas Destiny and Small, whenever you get to Lake Town, you can tell it looks a little bit computery. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it looks a little bit computery. You know what I'm saying? Smog look a little bit computery. That's why I'm gonna tell Peter, I'm not a fan. If he's hired, I'm not a fan of that computery look, man. The way you got for the Hobbit. I want that natural look. Remember that look you got in the end of Unexpected Journey? When you saw the eagles flying over, you saw the mountains and the trees. It looked very natural. It looked pretty natural. Yeah, but it looked amazing. Yeah, I want something like that for the north and the south. It looks very natural, but it looks amazing. He just asked her, Ivan, you say you don't want CGI for your movie? No, Peter, I want CGI for my movie, obviously. You need CGI, otherwise your world will look very cheesy too. If you don't have CGI, your world will look bland. It won't look that great. You need CGI you need to mix it with your CGI effects. The way your world looks amazing, but build big sets the way you get a better world building. You don't get that computer look like The Hobbit. You know what I'm saying? As I'm not a fan of that computery look. I find that computer look very, very bad. I don't like it. I don't like that look. And that's why you gotta tell Peter Jackson the way he knows. Because if I don't tell Peter Jackson that I don't want Eric to be a full-on CGI wolf and I don't want to use too much CGI, guaranteed Peter Jackson will rely heavily on the green screen and blue screen for my movie. And he'll have the voice actors, he'll have Eric that be a full-on CGI wolf. Like, Peter, Ivan, like, why don't you like CGI, Ivan? Peter, I like CGI. CGI is good. You need CGI. You need CGI to make your world look amazing, obviously, but too much of it will make your world look computery. Look at your Hobbit series, Peter. Look at how it turned out. It didn't look that great, man. Like, Lake Town it was beautiful. It looked amazing, but it looked very cheesy and computery. Azog and his son and all the orcs in the Hobbit, they looked a little cheesy because they're full-on CG orcs. Compare the orcs in the Hobbit to Lord of the Rings. The orcs in Lord of the Rings are a lot scarier and they're much better. They're much better look. They're much better. They look much better than the fucking orcs in the Hobbit. The Hobbit are all fucking full on CGI orcs. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of that computer look, man. Stay away from that computer look. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of it. I might watch Battle of Five Armies tomorrow, or I might just finish the Obi-Wan series. I want to finish that series. I've been going on a binging spree watching all these movies, obviously. I want to finish Obi-Wan because I don't know if I can watch the Battle for Armies. The Battle for Armies really, really pisses me off. How Thorin dies, Thorin kills Azog, but Azog also kills Thorin. You know what I'm saying? The good-looking dwarf, whatever his name is, I forget his name. The one who Toriel loves, the love triangle with Toriel and Legolas, right? That good-looking dwarf, whatever it is. He dies too in Battle for Armies too. Yeah, it really pisses me off. And Battle for Armies wasn't that great of a movie. It wasn't that good of a movie, man. Battle for Armies just wasn't. It wasn't great, man. I rated it like a 4.8 out of 10. It wasn't. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I did not like it at all, man. I'm like, oh, this movie's terrible. I didn't like it. You can tell Peter Jackson's wing caught up to him. It makes sense why it was terrible. Yeah, Peter Jackson's winging it caught up to him. There's only so much you can do when you wing it, right? If you wing it the whole way through, chances are you might be lost in some scenes. And there was a scene when Andy Serkis and all them behind the scenes, they were assistant producers. I believe Andy Serkis was like a first unit director for The Hobbit. He's like, yeah, we didn't know what we were doing. We were completely lost. Yeah, because they didn't prep anything. Peter Jackson, Warren Mills gave Peter like 3 months to prep. Because when Del Toro bailed out on Peter, obviously, which I thought was a cold move. And Warner Bros. Only gave Peter 3 months. Yeah, Peter, we're not going to spend an extra $100, $200 million. We're already over budget. We're going to give you 3 months to rewrite the script and plan everything. And Peter Jackson had no choice but to wing it, obviously. And for someone who winged it, he did a pretty good job. As Unexpected Journey and what? And Dust and Smog are pretty good movies. They're not great, but they're pretty good movies. I give it a good like 6 out of 10, 6.3 out of 10, 6.4 out of 10. They were pretty good movies. Whereas Battle for Armies was bad. You can tell Peter Jackson's wing it caught up to him. You know, because at one point in the documentary, Peter Jackson was lost. He had to tell the studio heads, yeah, guys, I'm lost. I need to clear my head. Give me a couple weeks to figure this out. Yeah. They were lost. And then there was a scene when Andy Serkis and the other director, I believe they were the first and second year directors, obviously. When they were filming the Battle of Five Armies, they were lost. They didn't know what they were doing. Hence why the movie was a complete mess. You know what I'm saying? I might watch Battle of Armies some more. We'll see what happens. About a month ago, I watched Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers, but I didn't watch Return of the King because Return of the King really pisses me off. There's something about Return of the King I don't like compared to the other two. Obviously. Yeah, there's something about Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy and Hobbit trilogies. There's something about his second movie that he made that it ends up being the best, obviously. I think Two Towers is the best, and I also think Desolation of Smaug is the best of the three movies. But you can argue Unexpected Journey is better if you want, but I don't think it is, because Unexpected Journey it's very linear like Fellowship of the Ring. It's just about the 13 dwarves, Bilbo and Gandalf on their journey to the Lonely Mountains, obviously, to claim back Erebor, whatever it is. But they don't reach, Erebor in Unexpected Journey. Unexpected Journey, they travel. It's about their journey on their way there, and then they meet the elves. You know what I'm saying? They find the swords in the troll cave. You know what I'm saying? And they get captured by the Goblin King, and then the Goblin mines, obviously, and they're on the run. And Azog is chasing. That's pretty much the story. Hence why I like Desolation of Smaug better. You have more story in Desolation of Smaug. Well, Unexpected Journey is a close second. I'd say Desolation of Smaug takes the edge by a slim margin. Because you have Smaug, the dragon, you have Azog, you have his son. You know what I'm saying? The dwarves and the elves. Obviously, you meet Legolas, you meet Toriel, you meet the king elf of the Woodland Realm. Yeah, Legolas' father. Yeah. Hence why I like Smaug the best, obviously. I might watch Battle of Armies some more. I might watch it, obviously. But Return of the King I can't watch. Because if I watch it, it's gonna make me sad, man. Because it's Return of the King is something about that's depressing. When Frodo's on the mountain and all that stuff, and he Frodo's on the mountain, and then he's what? You know what I'm saying? And Sam is like talks about Rose. That part's really sad. It really pisses me off. And Frodo leaves for the Undying Lands with Gandalf. So it's sad, son. Yeah. Ivan, why are you watching? Yeah, I'm watching the movies because I want to study Peter Jackson's directing style. And I watched, after watching Unexpected Journey and that's what I'm like, yeah, Peter is perfect for Xehanort, man. Because you have the Eagles and Unexpected Journey. You'll have I have a lot of ideas for the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles, but the Eagles talk in the book, obviously. They're minor characters, but they talk. You know what I'm saying? You have Azog, all those orcs. You know what I'm saying? Things something like that for Eretah. Eretah's a devil Woking himself, obviously. Except Eretah will make Azog look good. As Azog isn't that scary. He's a formidable opponent, but Eretah's a walking devil incarnate, man. Something scarier than even the ring race. And Pennywise and Clown, that devil being an animal. You see what I'm saying? Should I just choose Peter? Should I just choose Peter Jackson instead of having Mel compete with him? I mean, because Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings, man. He's the best. He's most likely the best man for my movie. Because you have the fantasy world of Lord of the Rings, but Mel Gibson did Passion of Christ. He's also good too for the movie too. They're both really good. I can't choose Peter because I'm scared I might make the wrong choice. I'm scared. I should have hired Mel, and but I'm scared if I choose Mel, I'm like, I should have hired Peter Jackson. That's how I'm gonna have them compete. Let's test their creativity. Let's see who's better for the job. And because Mel Gibson and Peter Jackson read my book, they're gonna be prepped. Obviously, they're gonna be prepped for my movie. They're gonna be completely prepped. Hey, VJ, let's test their creativity. Let's see who's better for the job. And we ask them all these questions. And whoever comes with a better answer, that's the director who I'm hiring for my movie. When you rewatch Return of the King, I can't watch it, man. It really, really pisses me off with Frodo leaving the Undying Lands. So it's really annoying. And then King Theoden dying, it pisses me off, obviously. Whereas The Hobbit isn't that sad compared to Lord of the Rings, right? The only thing sad about The Hobbit is Thorin dying. All you guys who haven't seen The Hobbit, spoiler alert, Thorin dies in the end of the Hobbit trilogy in Battlefire Armies. He dies, obviously. He kills Azog, but Azog also kills him. As they kill each other pretty much, right? That's pretty sad, obviously. It wasn't that sad when Thorin died, obviously. And that other dwarf, the good-looking dwarf, I forget his name. It's because there's 13 dwarves, it's hard for me to memorize all their names. The good-looking dwarf who's in love with Toriel, obviously, he dies too in the end of Balfour Armies too. He dies too, man. He dies. He dies too. Yeah, man. He dies too, obviously. I might watch. I want to study Peter Jackson's what? I've seen Lord of the Rings many, many times. Where I only saw The Hobbit what? I only saw The Hobbit like 2 times. I saw Unexpected Journey like 2, 3 times. I saw Destination Smog like once on theaters. And Battle for Armies, I only saw it once. I only saw The Hobbit like a couple times, twice. I saw Unexpected Journey about like 3 times. I saw Destination Smog like once, obviously, and I saw Battle for Armies once on theaters. That's why I want to rewatch the Hobbit trilogy, obviously. Because the Battle for Armies doesn't piss me off as much as Return of the King. Return of the King is sad. It's fucking sad, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, but I watched Two Towers, and I watched Fellowship of the Ring. I'm like, yeah, Peter's perfect for my Zane's movie. But Mel Gibson's also perfect, too, because he did Passion of the Christ, too. They're both really good. That's why I'm going to have those 2 guys compete for the role. Whoever comes with a better answer, that's the director I'm hiring. I know all you Lord of the Rings fans, Ivan. You're fucking crazy, man. This shouldn't even be a debate. Like, choose Peter over fucking Mel, man. Peter did The Hobbit. He did Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he did that. He brought that fantasy world to life. He's the better man for the job, not Mel. You know what I'm saying? But Mel is good for the biblical symbolism and the horror of the wolves. The devil and Passion of Christ, he's good for the horror too, obviously. But he's not as good for the world building and all. So Peter's perfect for the world building because he did 2 fantasy series, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. See what I'm saying? I'm reading that book right now, and I read like 40 pages. I binged like 40 pages today. And Peter Jackson's like, yeah, I'm into fantasy. Yeah, Peter Jackson's into fantasy. He loves fantasy, Mortal Engines, all these. Mortal Engines is more like science fiction, right? But Peter Jackson's into fantasy. That's why he'll want to get my hands on my story so bad. Because Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings and he did The Hobbit, obviously. That's why Peter is what is perfect for Zanus, obviously. But to make sure you don't get a bad movie, make sure he takes his notes, co-writes the script with you, obviously, and make sure he studies the script. I'll study the script. Hey, Peter, I'll study your notes. You study your notes. I'll help him out. I'll give him my input too, because Zanus is my baby. I know I'm doing. And have him do the concepts with you in this, and have you watch all those movies. That way you can have some good ideas for what for my Zanus movies. I'm saying, huh? Okay, Peter, I'm thinking something like what you got for Unexpected Journey for the Eagles. But the Eagles are a bit smaller and they talk. The Watches of the North. Yeah, I have some good ideas. I'm saying, yeah, some good ideas for the Eagles. Yeah, that's why he's really, really good for Zanus, obviously. You have the spies of Eretz who talk, just like in Fellowship of the Ring, you had the spies from Dublin, who are Saruman's spies. Obviously, the whole passage has been watched. We must take the path through the mountains. Remember when Gandalf said that? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Peter Jackson will have a lot. Guillermo Toro was the initial director of The Hobbit. He did the concept arts obviously for The Hobbit, and he co-wrote the Unexpected Journey script, Guillermo del Toro. And so have a lot of, that's why I think he's the best man to help to assist Peter as a director. And I'll ask Peter, if you need Fran and Philip to help you, I can hire them. They can help you out. They can help you out with the concept arts and all that stuff and the notes if you want. But I mean, people like, I don't need Fran and Philip. I have Guillermo del Toro. I have John Favreau to help me. Yeah, you don't need any help. You have Guillermo del Toro helping you. That's enough. I don't need to hire more people. You know what I'm saying? You have me helping him, VJ helping him. You have John Favreau helping him, and you have Guillermo del Toro helping him. That's enough. You also have George Lucas who help him out too. Put George to work, help him out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Peter is perfect for Zanus. Who you hire, I don't know why, but something tells me I'm going to end up choosing Peter Jackson, because Peter Jackson, I'm hiring the Lord of the Rings crewman who worked on the movie, obviously, and Peter Jackson knows all those guys. He knows all the guys at Weta Digital. He knows all the guys at what. I'm going to hire Weta Digital to do my special effects for my movie. If they're busy with Rings of Power, I'll hire someone else. I can just hire another team. It doesn't really matter, but I want to hire Weta Digital for the special effects, and I want to hire, that's Peter Jackson's old company that he owned, and I'm going to hire Weta Workshop. Peter Jackson owned Weta Workshop too. I don't think he owned Weta Workshop, but he owned Weta Digital. Weta Workshop worked on The Hobbit. They're also working on Rings of Power, I believe. The Amazon series. But by then, Amazon, by the time Zanus gets released, the Amazon show will be done. Amazon only signed a five season contract for their Rings of Power show. So that's 5 years from now. That's 2020, 2027, 2028 around there. The Amazon show will be done. By 2028, I'll be what? I should be filming Zanus. 2028, 2029 around there, I should be filming Zanus. So by the time the Amazon Rings of Power show ends, I'll be filming Zanus. Weta Digital should be available to edit my movie, obviously. To do my special effects. And you won't get the cheesy ladders appearing out of nowhere like you got for fucking Two Towers, because I paid all the guys more money. Paid them the $7,000. Whereas in Hollywood, they make like 50, 60K. And they work hard off. 60K is a pretty good paycheck. But if you pay them that kind of money, they're not going to work hard, obviously. They're not going to work as hard for you. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to work as hard for you. And you got to be careful. They're not going to work as hard for you if you pay them what? If you pay them 60K. That's why I'm going to pay all the guys $70,000. Then the main editor, I'll pay him $2 million, and the main like VFX artists. The only people I'm going to pay $2 million for the special effects team are the main VFX artists and the main guys only, and the main editor. Was everyone else you pay them the $7,000? Because you got to watch for your budget, obviously. You don't want these guys to rip you off. At the end of the day, these guys are average crewmen. They're not worth that much money. I'm paying them. I'm overpaying them. I'm not. If they get greedy and want money, I'm like, look, man, I'm not paying you more money. This is good enough. If you don't like it, I can pay you less. I can pay you $60K like you make in Hollywood, $50K like you make in Hollywood. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, guys? Yeah, I was just saying, yeah. You gotta be careful. Do not let these These fucking crewmen dupe you, obviously. So Peter Jackson, I'll pay him 107 with salaries and bonuses, 2 million recurring royalty check for the releases, 2 million for the releases. Obviously, that's a good deal for Peter. So every time I release a movie in extended edition, I'm not going to release special edition, no, because my documentary I'll have it featured on my website. You'll see it on my website. So if I release an extended edition, it'll just be extra added scenes, No, it will be special edition because what I might do is whenever the doc team edit the the special edition movie, I'll have my doc crew film that. You can have a bonus material of the behind the scenes of the special editions if you want. So if he gets his release for the special edition re-release, obviously, of the extra bonus material of the behind the scenes of the crewman editing the special edition version of my movie, obviously. Added bonus material. You can interview me, VJ, and 17 and Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson if you want. You can do that, or the new technology of Blu-ray. When I release it, Peter Jackson gets 2 million in his bank. It's a good paycheck for Peter Jackson. It's a good deal for him. If his agent wants like 10, 20, I'm like, look, man, like I'm not gonna pay him. He's rent me off. $2 million is good enough. As he doesn't get squat for that in Hollywood. Peter Jackson just got his royalties for the box office, and that's it. And his flat salary, and that's it. He doesn't get squat for any of Peter Jackson didn't get royalties for the games or anything else. So he didn't get royalties for any of that. He only got royalties for the movie, and that's it. Obviously, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'll give him 0.6% of the profits, which is a good 300 million in 200 to 300 million dollars in royalties for Peter. Obviously. And I'll give him 0.4 if the movie grosses more than 176 billion. Peter, if more than 1.1 billion people buy a movie, I'm going to pay you 0.4. You're still going to make your 200 like $40 million in royalties, 250, 300 million dollars, which depends. If 200 million, if my movie does 200 million dollars in sales, and I give Peter 0.4, he'll make like 270 million maybe in royalties. He still made his 300, his 400 plus million dollars, Peter. You see what I'm saying? If you get 200, 250, 280 million dollars, 300 million dollars in royalties, 330 million dollars in royalties, Peter, that's a good paycheck. If he gets greedy and he wants 1% or more, I'm like, Peter, I'm not giving you 1%. That's crazy. You're going to be walking away with like $600, $700 of my money. You rip me off. I'm not going to do like that. You might get angry. I'm like, Peter, if you're angry, I can terminate this contract, and I'll hire Mel Gibson instead of you, and you'll be left behind in Hollywood, and I'll hire him instead of you. If you're greedy, obviously, I have an instant deal. You know what I'm saying? You're paying more money. How much even fucking Warner Bros. Pay me? Yes. You only made $180 million for Lord of the Rings, for the 3 movies, and I'm paying you double that. You're going to make your like $400 million, Peter. You know what I'm saying? $400 million, Peter, after $400 million. 350, 400, 300 million Peter Jackson's making. 300, 350, 400 million around that Peter's making. He signed his $300 plus million deal. It just depends on how much sales my movie does, obviously. The more it does, I'm paying, I give him 0.4. He'll still make his $250 million in royalties. A lot of money. Peter Jackson. Even if he makes $220 million, he still made $300 million in for my movie. He signed a massive contract, Peter Jackson. Because he signed that contract, he'll work double harder for me than what he even did for Lord of the Rings. Because Lord of the Rings, they paid him less. They only paid him $10 million for the contract of like the 4.5 years. So he got $10 million I heard for pre-production and production. Peter Jackson, he worked hard. He wrote that amazing script and he worked his ass off. I saw him behind the scenes. He worked hard. Obviously, hence why I might buy the next paycheck. I might buy the Blu-ray extended edition of the Hobbit trilogy because I really want to watch. Because there's no behind the scenes on YouTube. Whereas Return of the King, they have a lot of the behind the scenes on YouTube. And I saw all the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings. Whereas the Hobbit series, I never saw the behind the scenes of it. The only behind the scenes I saw of the Hobbit is what you got on YouTube. When Peter Jackson made all these vlogs like 10 years ago, I saw all those behind the scenes, but I never saw like the whole behind the scenes of the Hobbit. Obviously. And the only way to see it is if you buy the special edition. The special edition Blu-ray, or you can either get the special edition Blu-ray of the 3 movies, or you get the special edition 4K Blu-ray. I want to get the 4K Blu-ray, but I don't feel like paying. I don't feel like buying a 4K Blu-ray a 4K Blu-ray player. It's expensive. I'd rather just buy the Blu-ray. I have my old PS4. I don't use my PS4, but I can use my PS4 to watch my Blu-ray movies. The Blu-ray movies and I'll keep the Hobbit Blu-ray collection as a collection. And then once I'm king, I'll buy the 4K special edition of Lord of the Rings. I'll buy the 4K Blu-ray special edition of Lord of the Rings, obviously. And I won't buy the 4K Blu-ray of The Hobbit. I'll just stick to Blu-ray for The Hobbit. It's only like $92. It's cheap. It's cheap. $92 on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. Yeah, my next paycheck, I can buy it. I'll buy it. I'll buy the what? I might buy the Hobbit 4K Blu-ray collection. That way I can watch the extended editions. Watch the added bonus, and I want to see the behind the scenes of The Hobbit, obviously. What they did, that way I have some good ideas for saying this, obviously, yeah. Yeah, that's my deal for Peter Jackson. And Mel Gibson, I'll pay him $56 million, and I'll give him 0.5% of the profits. If the movie does $176 billion or less, if it does more, I'll give him 0.3. He'll still make his his $170 million in royalties, whatever it is. 180, 150, 160 million royalties Mel Gibson will make. He signed his like $200 million. He's not making as much as Peter because he's not as big as Peter, hence why I'm paying him less. But Mel Gibson still signed his like $250 million deal, $240 million deal he signed. A massive contract, obviously. Yeah, I'm paying him more than what I'm even paying Keanu Reeves and Will Smith. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Obviously. You see what I'm saying? That's my deal for Mel Gibson. Because I paid Peter that kind of money, or Mel Gibson, they're going to work really hard for me. They're going to destroy the role as a director. You're going to see Peter Jackson destroying the role, completely destroying the role as a director. You're going to see him working hard. He's directing all the actors. Holy shit, Peter Jackson's prepped. You know what I'm saying? You see him on set. He's going over his notes. He knows what he wants done for. He has ideas for every single scene. Yeah, I made sure Peter was prepped. When Emilio Torres prepped, they know the script inside and out. We did the concept art together. We have the same vision of the story. Eric Tessadell himself. Takis is an innocent kid like Young Messiah. I gave them all my ideas. They gave me their ideas, and we came to an agreement. We talked it over. Everyone is prepped. The first unit director, second director. You're not going to get something messy happening whereby the first unit director, second director, or the assistant directors for The Hobbit, like Andy Serkis and the other woman, were lost. Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing when we filmed The War. Yeah, remember that scene? Like, yeah, we didn't know what we were doing when we filmed The War. We were lost. We were completely lost. Yes, because Andy Serkis and them were not. Peter Jackson and company were not prepped. They gave Peter like 3 months to what? To film the movie. They gave Peter 3 months to prep the movie. Hence, Peter Jackson had to wing it, man. He had no choice but to wing it. Peter Jackson had no choice but to wing it, obviously. Hence why the Hobbit trilogy was a little bit of a mess. Especially Battle of the Five Armies. Ivan, what's the most messy? Battle of the Five Armies was by far was very messy, man. You can tell Peter Jackson's wing it caught up to him. Unexpected Journey wasn't that messy, and Destiny of Smog wasn't that messy. There were some messy sections in the story, obviously, but Battle of the Five Armies was a mess, man. The movie was terrible, man. It wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? It was a bad movie. It wasn't a good movie. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't good. It wasn't that good of a movie. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that good. Hence why if you don't want something horrific and messy to happen like that, you need to make sure all your directors are prepped. Give the first unit director, second unit director, Peter Jackson's notes, and I'm going to have them go, okay, I want you going over the entire script. Study this script. I'm the boss, listen to me. Study the script and go over Peter Jackson's notes. That way, Peter Jackson will multiple notes. That way, you guys are prepped and you'll have some good ideas to help them out. For the war, for the action sequences, for the gatherings, you'll have some good ideas. You can help them out, and that way nobody's lost and everyone's prepped. And that way, do this, Peter. That way, I don't have to worry about stepping in and fixing up something messy. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I want to do is have to focus on what? On the directing side of the movie. I want to focus on my acting as Takis, and I'll have Peter Jackson them take that stress off me, and to take that stress off me, make sure they're prepped. That way they work hard for you and pay them a lot of money. That way they work harder for you, obviously, and make sure they take their notes and they study their notes and they study the script. That's why I want once we finish writing the script, I want me, VJ Peter, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Guillermo del Toro to go over the script at least 2 more times. Now we know the story inside and out. We know the script inside and out. We know all the scenes inside and out. And that way Peter Jackson is prepped and he took his notes. But once the script is finished, once we finish writing the first draft of the script, Peter Jackson should have all his notes. Should have a huge notebook of all his notes for the entire script. Because every time we wrote down a couple pages of the script, Peter Jackson went to his hotel and he took his notes, and now all his notes are all in his notebook. Obviously. So what I can do is I can buy Peter Jackson a notebook, or I can have him buy his own notebook. It's cheap. Okay, Peter, go to the dollar store and buy a couple notebooks for yourself. Or I can have me Vija buy a notebook for him if you want. I don't mind buying it for him. I could buy it for him, or you can have him buy it. I can buy it for him. Peter Jackson won't mind buying his own notebook. It's fucking cheap. I pay your tumble bills. You can easily buy your own notebook. Bring your own notebook from home. Peter, I recommend buy your notebook. I'll just tell Peter, buy your own notebook. Buy a good, I don't know, six, seven notebooks for your notes. And make sure you have everything organized too. Like whenever you write down your notes, scene 1, scene 2, make sure you write that down. That way you know what you wrote down for those scenes, obviously. Make sure you're organized. So if it's scene 1, write scene 1. If it's scene 2, write scene 2. Scene 3, volume 1, volume 2. That way you know what sections you're prepped and you're organized. Make sure you're organized. All right, don't worry about it. Yeah, make sure you're organized. Make sure you guys are organized when you write your notes. That way if you want to go back and check your notes for a certain scene, you can just go back and you can find your scenes quickly. Because you organize, everything is organized in your notebook, obviously. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want anyone ruining that fucking story, man. I wrote a fucking masterpiece. I don't want anyone ruining my fucking amazing story, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want something messy happening like the fucking Hobbit, man. Like the Hobbit, even though the Hobbit trilogy was pretty good, the first 2 were pretty good. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not as good as Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? I did not like that computery look of the orcs and Lake Town. Like Lake Town looked beautiful, obviously amazing, but it looked very computery. Right? I don't like that look. I don't like the look of the scene when the dwarves are escaping from the elves in the barrels, and you had Toriel come and rescue them and Legolas. And you have that they fight the orcs and you get that computer look. I'm not a fan of that look. Hence why I'm gonna tell Peter Jackson, Peter, please, I am not a fan of this computery look like you got for the Hobbit. Alright, what are you thinking of? I want the natural look like you got for Lord of the Rings, like Fellowship of the Ring. Helm's Deep, the Shire, Rohan, all those places. I'm not kind of here.